Hello, welcome to the AP7 podcast. You are here with Rachel Donovan and the founder of AP7, Mr. George Helou.
Thanks, Rachel, and thank you for joining us. We love talking about how to get the heart into everything we do to get a lot out of life.
Whether it be relationships, business, careers, you name it. So, let's get started. George, I really love the idea, the concept that you've thought for this podcast.
Yeah.
When you suggested it, and that is the idea of how we have virus beliefs.
Tell me more about why you love it. I love this praise.
Because virus belief is such a cool way of naming beliefs that we have. And the word, virus, because it's very contemporary, modern, like a computer. And it gives the sort of idea that it can be removed.
Yes, and we also understand it biologically as something that's an invasion into a system that's harmonious and it's disrupting, hurting, harming.
Yes.
And therefore we call viruses in a computer off the viruses in life, and it's the same rules apply. And it makes sense, therefore, to appreciate that sometimes what we believe is actually a disruption to the truth of who we are, how we can live a life where we're in touch with our capability and the abundance of life, and why we should be engaging people in a way that's good-natured and patient. But everything that goes against that is in effect a virus belief.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them.
There are, aren't there? We tried to list a few, and once we got going, the list just kept growing quite easily.
Yeah. And what's funny, though, is we're not raised to be conscientious of what possible virus beliefs are sabotaging us and the way we're relating to a situation. We don't factor that in. We always assume we're the ones virus-free and everyone else has got the viruses.
This is like there's something wrong with everyone else or the way they think.
Yeah. Or life is just rotten and hard and I'm jinxed.
Or we all conform to the same ones too. Like,
what have you got in mind?
Life is meant to be hard.
Yeah. Yep. Life is meant to be hard, which means when you live life, expect hardship. Expect things to go wrong and for you to struggle. Because I don't know about you, but I was raised expecting it to be hard. But I was put under pressure that I would have to be strong and put up with it and never give up. And I don't think there's anything wrong with embracing life, having obstacles and things that can go wrong. But what if it didn't have to be a struggle in the way we deal with those obstacles?
Yes, so it's in the approach or in the way we deal with it.
Yeah. Life is hard, but it wouldn't be that hard and those problems wouldn't last that long. And then suddenly, like if something was temporarily hard and it taught you how to be different and then you did it differently and got a great result, there's an achievement there. There's a sense of accomplishment and expanding into more wisdom. And I don't even know whether we would say life is hard or meant to be hard if we were moving through the obstacles in that graceful way.
Yeah. Well, that's so true.
But what would happen if you had a virus belief like that and something went wrong? Would the brain go, oh, here it comes. I was waiting for you. Of course you're meant to be in my life. Life is meant to be hard. Thanks for the torment. Thanks for the torture. Yeah, great. So annoying that life is meant to be hard. But it is. I've got the evidence. It's all around me. It's part of my furniture. You see what happens? We're not looking to solve it because apparently this is reality. We should just expect it and accept it.
Yeah. And then it's also, in the approach that, we're supposed to work hard, and it's good to be tired because it means you're working hard because there's so much to do and you've got to not take breaks and,
Yeah, that's right. So, if we're meant to be creative problem solvers, but we're presented with life that's not meant to be easily solvable, and therefore we're emotionally just accepting being stuck because that's fulfilling the reality, then why would we innovate? Why would we're not going to be intolerant to it. So therefore the brain won't search for other ways and find them and have a breakthrough in a timely manner. Hey, it makes you wonder where our tolerance levels come from, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why do we all have different pain thresholds and levels of abuse before we go, well, that's enough. I'm not putting up with any more than that.
Yeah, where do we learn that from?
Oh, well, obviously we're learning it through modeling. Other people are showing what they put up with when we're young and impressionable. So we must take it on. It's like, oh, right. So that's the limit. Okay, I get it. So everybody's modeling what should be your limit. And it must vary. So in other words, our limits for some things are higher than others. And then from person to person, we're varying our limits. Like sometimes we're a little bit too trigger happy. And if someone is in a bad mood, we're already shutting down the relationship because we're going, well, I'm not putting up with someone with that attitude. But what if they just had a really hard time and it was overwhelming and we're looking for an excuse? So we've modeled intolerant behavior for whatever the trauma is that caused it. But then we're too tolerant, way too tolerant. And I know some people are in relationships, and we've discussed this in the past, and maybe that feeds back into, well, life is meant to be hard. And what can you do? It's hard to find love. You got to stick with the partner that you know. Better the devil you know. Is that a virus belief? Better the devil you know.
I was just about to say that one. I think that could definitely be one.
Because what does that do to your thinking process when you have a filter that says it's better the devil you know?
Well, it keeps you where you are, doesn't it? You're not looking for other options or solutions.
And Rachel, there's always better options and there's always possibilities and adventure outside of that bubble. But better the devil you know keeps the hell you're in.
Right.
And therefore, nothing gets to challenge it. Nothing gets to say, oh, look, I was wrong. Turns out there's an angel over there compared to this devil. And I kind of now appreciate, venturing out and assuming just maybe there's better than this devil that I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it's really healthy that if we appreciate we all have virus beliefs and we appreciate that it's undermining us and it's normal to take on ideas that are in the way of our own journey to have success, that's perfectly normal. And therefore, if we're wrong and if someone is criticizing us, just maybe our virus belief is causing a problem. And I think if we have that attitude, we're being a lot more humble. And I think that in itself, we're already ahead of the game.
Because we can start to recognize what our own beliefs are, virus beliefs.
Yeah, we can then, we're more willing to ask more questions and investigate what impact we're having by the way we're being, why it's not working, and catch the assumptions from that virus belief that are blinding us or causing us to misinterpret and defend or attack when simply we've been self-deceived into thinking something is the case when it's not. But the virus belief says, no, attack that. That's your enemy, without the substance to back it up. You know, it makes you wonder whether if there were no virus beliefs at all, Rach, what would we be like? How would we relate to ourselves and the world? That would mean we were always knowing what's really going on, because viruses are deceptive and are making good things attack each other, and things that are important and valuable are being attacked, right? So what if our belief in humanity was no longer being attacked by the idea that people can't be trusted? And
Gosh.
yeah.
I was going to say be thriving and...
Yeah. But what if also the virus belief that we have to just trust people, otherwise we're not really believing in their good nature. So then that one goes the other extreme, and now we're blindly trusting. And therefore people who are insecure and who are justified into treachery because of their compromised perception, then we become susceptible to their insecurities and their treacherous acts. So see what's happening here? Either we don't trust at all, so we're isolated, or we trust blindly and we're traumatized. Thanks a lot, virus beliefs. So if we weren't burdened just by those two virus beliefs alone, well, that's a game changer. Because now we have a healthy relationship with how people can earn our trust and how we can believe in their good nature that they would want to, but appreciate if they choose through their own fears and doubts not to. And for us to be mindful of that, allow for that, and navigate through that with open eyes, not being cynical and pessimistic, but being appreciative and being a realist to what's actually happening in front of us and calling it for what it is. And that's the whole point of not being unburdened and blinded by virus beliefs and tricked into creating a fight when there's peace to be had, is that suddenly we're really grounded with the truth of what's going on. Being that informed means we can actually give people a running commentary of how we're experiencing what they're doing, how they're perceiving us, how they're reacting to us. And like if someone said to you, why don't you trust me? And they're like getting all uppity about it and upset, and now it's your fault for being a nasty person for not trusting them, when you don't really know them that well and they're asking you to trust them with something that you can't afford to go wrong. You see, if you were to be that clear about that and not be hoodwinked or derailed with someone who wants blind trust, then just maybe you give them an opportunity to realize they're being unreasonable. And if they don't care, then you've just allowed them to move on out of your life, and you don't have people like that in your life. Like I said something to the other day to someone who was almost feeling obliged to blind trust me. And it was a struggle for them. And I turned around and I said, can you do me a favor? And you don't trust me. You don't have to trust me. And I'm so okay with that. It would be an honor for me to earn your trust. And you should have seen it was as if I removed the world off this lady's shoulders. Just because I gave her permission to be scared and guarded. And I said, it's okay. I should be allowed to earn your trust. I want you to witness consistency in behavior that then you can build on with me. Why shouldn't it be that way? And it was like I had introduced her to a concept that she was never allowed to have. Because obviously a virus belief like you're a bad person if you can't trust people. Trust is such a beautiful value. Why aren't you giving it freely?
So what about the virus belief you can't have both money and happiness?
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
Well, because money, apparently, is either evil or to be worshipped. So I personally know people who abuse money, and I used to be one of them. where it was like, you can't control me. I'll just out earn you. Problem was, I got really good at outspending as well. I didn't back that talent of mine, Rachel, at the time. I honestly thought that I would just keep earning more money than I could spend and conquer money. Little did I know that I was actually treating it like a mistress. This abusive thing where I'm objectifying it and not really giving it the respect it deserves. Yeah? And what happened is I couldn't worship money, so I couldn't swing from abusing it to worshipping it, but I've met people who worship it. Have you?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, for a moment then when you hesitated, I thought, well, aren't you lucky? So I don't know whether your mind flashed through all the instances where you've been hurt by people doing that or not, but yeah, I thought, wow, you got off scot-free. But no, I don't think many people get off experiencing that, you know? And it's when people justify trampling all over everybody else because to them, money is the be-all and end-all. If you don't have that, you got nothing. So if anyone gets in the way, then you should be justified in pushing them out of the way. And if they get hurt, bad luck.
Yeah.
And if I worship money and money is not enough in my life, then it means there's not enough money and I better get what's there before other people take my share or the only share. So, and I also know that people who hoard money and make their identity and their status wrapped around it, they end up being very isolated because what is money? Remember we talked about it's like frozen energy at some point. So what if you could be happy and money was just a vehicle so that what you gave value to was reciprocated and happiness was the ability to give and receive? And money was just one context of making, giving and receiving liquid. So in other words, I could give to someone and that money allows me to receive from someone else who cooks, but the other person is a carpenter, and I don't need any carpentry, but they needed coaching from me. So money is just liquid in that way. It's just a facilitator. So if I neutralize the value of money into it's just a leveraging of energy, then suddenly it becomes a really handy tool for happiness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But what would happen if you think to yourself, no, I need to be happy and the only way I can be happy is with money? It may make you less generous. It may make you deny what your heart is into in a career. What else do you think it would do if you had to have money at all costs to be happy?
Well, I think you would lose relationships, valuable relationships.
Oh, because you're too busy earning the money and making it and other people become an obstacle. They want your attention, they want to have fun with you, but they're in your way of making that money. I have heard many, many relationships break up over money. Can you be happy without money? That's hard work too.
I mean, you hear stories of people in the third world countries who they say, my gosh, they're just so happy over there and they've got nothing, yet they're just so happy.
Yeah. I think it's because also they trade resources their own way. That is like money. But also it's in check. So in other words, they only do it to a level just to keep themselves, their needs met, their basic needs met. And then the rest of it is recreation, having fun, kicking a ball around, keeping life simple. And they actually smile from ear to ear. They're so happy. So, yeah, I think that, I mean, what is money? I mean, like a paper receipt that says you can go and have something that you don't have so you can consume of this life. Here's a receipt to go. Here's a ticket to go and consume something you can enjoy. And why wouldn't that be, a process of being happy because you get to receive something in life? I think it's in its mechanics, it's fine. But what happens is that if you create value, then people will give you back. And that, to me, is what happiness is. And whether you use money or not in that equation, it's irrelevant. Mm-hmm. So as a virus belief, I could see how our brain is compromised and blinded to how we can be happy. And suddenly money is a fight. We don't have enough of it, or it's the reason why we're unhappy because it's evil. And now we don't even know how to give and receive in a pure way because our relationship with money is a distraction.
So how do we go about sort of identifying what virus beliefs we have? Are they things that we frequently say to ourselves, or do we catch ourselves justifying or brushing away something by these sayings?
Yeah, good point. Well, I was saying before, what if life didn't have any virus beliefs? What would life be like?
Yeah.
Well, we would be at peace, centered, engaged and fully present with what's in front of us, our heart totally into what we're doing, which means in that flow, we're enjoying life. We're in a natural state of joy. And we're so connected and at one with our environment. People just are making a difference to us because we're so open to who they are and we're appreciating them. And they're doing the same in kind. This would appear to be like a virus-free existence. I know, I can see that look on your face going.
You're painting a beautiful picture.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we all have had that. So we must be virus-free in moments where the viruses aren't operating, when you're in flow. So maybe when you're in flow from the heart and you're loving that connection, that's being virus-free. And then when we're triggered out of it, a virus has just sabotaged the operating system again. And we're overprotective and disconnecting as a reaction and fighting even. So with that in mind, how do you know that viruses are operating and in control of the way you're engaging your environment and yourself? Pain, emotional pain, because the absence of emotional pain is contentment and natural joy. So if you're emotionally distressed, if you're broken-hearted, a virus belief while you're broken-hearted is probably rejection. Is the virus is creating rejection to mean something about your worth that it shouldn't. And maybe an emotional pain of grief, which is, I'm now absolutely in pain for missing someone that's died, right? Now, this is interesting because I'm exploring this with you right now and I haven't thought about the relationship between viruses and legitimate emotional pain before. Now, I think that in that moment, we are suffering the loss of someone that we valued that's no longer there, and the body is in distress because it doesn't feel at peace, at ease, safe, or in any way good about that. But in the perspective of life, is that emotional state reflective of the truth of who you are and your future? No, but it is an honouring of someone who mattered to you that much when they're no longer there, that's an appropriate emotion. So I feel like it's okay to be human and have those emotions. So maybe it's more when we're in emotional pain all the time, even when things are okay, or we're isolated and we're bored and we're not satisfied and the heart is heavy. I think that these are cues for, man, am I seeing a world in a way that's where I'm worthy, I can be capable, I'm designed to be, and that the world does have opportunities and to have quality friendships and fun and adventure? Or am I right now being compromised out of that with my perception because viruses are telling me, no, the world is ugly, you're not that worthy and capable, and watch out. And I think it does distill down to that. Because if you're trying to operate a computer and it has viruses in it, what happens to the computer? You want it to produce outcomes that are valuable to you. And it freezes on you. And with my Mac, I call it the beach ball of death. That damn thing spins. And thankfully, I've got a good computer now that doesn't do that. Mind you, my disk is starting to get full, so I'm running the risk it's going to start doing that soon. So I have to, do something about it. But yeah, these viruses are literally disrupting your operating system that's designed to take you from a place where you don't have what you want to a place where you get it. Imagine that. Imagine us humans are designed to whatever we don't have, we have the ability to get it. And anything that stops us from getting what our heart wants is obviously viruses at play, because we are worthy, we are capable, the world's always abundant. Interesting.
Yeah, good metaphor.
And the computer is made as a fractal pattern. It's the processes of how it works is emulating our intelligence.
For those that aren't familiar with when you say fractal pattern, what do you mean by that?
A fractal pattern is a pattern of behavior, a set of rules that are followed that repeat themselves in every area of life. So, for example, if something grows and splits into two, you go, oh, look at that little plant. The fact is that one fractal pattern, if it was to keep repeating, ends up being a tree. And so a tree is simply a fractal pattern process of a branch splitting into two, they split into two, they split into two. And as it keeps growing, obviously the base has to thicken to support what's above it. And that's part of the fractal pattern. So in other words, as you split into two and you grow higher, you have to get a little bit thicker at the base and the roots have to go a little bit more wider and deeper to consolidate that. So nature's following fractal patterns, we follow fractal patterns. So, for example, our hand ratio to elbow to arm is following a Fibonacci sequence, and that's based on structural integrity so that we can leverage things when we carry and things like that. Same apparently with apparently nature is following this Fibonacci sequence as well. So those fractal patterns are everywhere, and they extend just like a computer functions. It emulates us with those same patterns of how to problem solve. If you find virus beliefs in you, you're winning because you now have the opportunity to undo it. And one last thing, Trojans viruses are the ones where they pretend they're a normal part of the operating system. So that's what you were talking about before, like, oh, life is meant to be hard. Well, that's the Trojan virus. That's saying, hey, this is just normal reality, dude. Just accept this virus. This is a poor part of the software when it's actually a virus. So, yeah, watch out for those Trojans. And the only way you can catch them is if your heart's not happy and it's heavy and it's broken and you're bored. There could be quite a few Trojans hiding.
Wow. It's time to go looking. Well, thanks, George. Thanks for chatting to us. And thank you for listening to another EP7 podcast. We will talk to you very soon.
Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on another EP7 podcast. If you liked what you heard, remember to share and subscribe so you're notified of every podcast released. If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, please jump on the EP7 official Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you.